All right, guys, welcome to online English. Um, Kind of tough timing to switch to online English class with the writing unit that we are in. So I'm going to let you know that we are going to really make our writing unit a lot simpler than we had originally planned. We're in the middle of our research report. You all have been, working on your note cards and researching. Today, I was supposed to teach you how to take those note cards and turn them into an outline and then use that to make your draft. And then at the end, we would do a big bibliography of all the things that you looked at. That's going to be really challenging to do with online learning, especially in just our first week. So if you are going through your English book, you're going to see all of that, but we are not going to do that right now. We can always go back and learn that later, but we are going to take your research report, greatly simplify it. Essentially, I want you to do two main things for this project. I want you to research, which you had time to do that in class. Some of you may still need to do a little bit more research, and that's okay. You can use your computer to research more information. And once again, if you don't have note cards, that's okay. Just write down your research information on a piece of notebook paper so that you can use that. The rest of you should have your index cards that have a lot of your research information already on them. Okay, so you're going to research. And then number two, you're just going to write me a 4-paragraph paper on your country. So you'll have one paragraph on geography, one on climate, one on culture, and then one on religion. Okay, so you don't need to worry about the outlining or the bibliography or all of that extra stuff. We can try to hit that later. Okay, so today your goal by the end of English class is that you're going to write the first 2 paragraphs of your paper. All right, so I'm only having you write 2 paragraphs today. That way, if some of you still need to do some more research, you have time built in for that. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to take your researched information, those note cards, and how do you turn those into paragraphs. Okay, so you see on my screen here, I have an example. All right, let's say that this is my note card right here. All right, this is one of my note cards on geography. You may have more than one. You probably do. So you would get all of your note cards on geography and sit them down and go, okay, what information is most important for me to include? What do I want to make sure I include in my paragraph? What order should I put these facts into to make my paragraph the best it can be? Okay, I'm going to show you first an example of what not to do. Don't let this happen to you. So here's my note card. All right, and this first paragraph is the don't let this happen to you example of a paragraph. Okay, let's look at it. There are 2 main islands in New Zealand, the North and the South. The Cook Strait separates the North and South Island. New Zealand has mountains and volcanoes. The capital is Wellington. All right, what is wrong with that? Well, if you notice, it's all just copied straight from my note cards. I didn't change the order. I didn't add any extra details. I just copied from my note cards. Okay, that's not really what we're looking for in 4th grade writing. Okay, let's take a look at a second example paragraph that would be a little bit more along the lines of what I'm looking for. All right, here we go. New Zealand is a group of islands located in the Pacific Ocean. There are 2 main islands called the North Island and the South Island. These islands are separated by the Cook Strait. The capital of New Zealand is Wellington, and it is located on the North Island. New Zealand is known for its beautiful geography. New Zealand has sandy beaches, towering snow-capped mountains, and even several active volcanoes. So here is my improved version of my geography paragraph. Notice I am using this information, 2 main islands, North and South. But look at where that is in my paragraph. It's actually the second thing because I wanted to kind of give a topic sentence first to kind of give you an idea of, all right, what are we talking about? We're talking about the country of New Zealand, this group of islands, and that is located in the Pacific Ocean. And you might say, but Miss Cruz, you didn't have on your note card that it was located in the Pacific Ocean. That's okay. You can add stuff that are not on your note cards. If it's stuff that you just already know because your parents have lived in that country and they've told you, it's something that you've looked at a map or that you just remember as you were researching, you can include that. It helps to fill out your paragraph and not make it quite the skeleton that this first paragraph was. Okay. Now notice I did follow a lot of the same order of my notes, mainly because as I was making the note card, I kind of knew what order I wanted things in. Your note cards will probably be all over the place. Okay. It is okay to change the order. In fact, that's a really good thing to do. The only thing I changed was I put the capital first, since I was kind of talking about the land, the North Island and the South Island. And since the capital is on the North Island, that's why I included that next. All right. And then I went ahead and told you a little bit more about the geography. But notice I put in more descriptions. And instead of just saying, there are mountains, there are volcanoes. Okay. I talked about towering snow-capped mountains, active volcanoes. So try to spice up your writing. All right. Don't have this little skeleton of a paragraph. Try to really fill that paragraph out. Okay, so you're going to be writing your geography paragraph today. Once again, try more for that second example, not the first one. Okay, what about your climate? All right, let's take a quick look at an example of that. Climate, remember, has to do with the weather. So grab all of your climate note cards, any research that you have done on your climate. Once again, I did a quick sample note card. Number one, I have that New Zealand is temperate. Number two, January and February are the warmest months. July is the coldest. Auckland in January, February, high of 74, low of 60. And then Auckland, July, high 58, low 45. I'm going to explain what that means because I noticed when we were researching in class, a lot of you are using a similar fact where you have a month and a city, and then you have a high and a low temperature. And I want you to know exactly what those are talking about so you know how to put them into your writing. Okay, once again, first let's look at an example of what not to do. Don't let this happen to you. All right, let's look at this first one. New Zealand is temperate. It is. January and February are the warmest months. July is the coldest. Auckland, Jan, Feb, high 74, low 60. Auckland, July, high 58, low 45. All right, once again, just like I did on geography, all I did was I just copied pretty much straight from my note card. It's not what we're looking for. Okay, you need to make sure that you understand what you're talking about. For example, when you say that your country is temperate, what does that mean? You may need to look it up. I'll help you out right now. Temperate means that it doesn't get really, really hot. It doesn't get really, really cold. Okay, so also I can tell by this that the person who wrote this, in this case it was me, doesn't really understand this information they wrote down about January, February, high 74, low 60. All they're doing is just copying it. That doesn't show me they know what they're talking about. That looked like an important fact. They wrote it on their note card, and now they're copying it into their research report. Okay, here's a better example. New Zealand's climate is temperate. Aha, notice I have a topic sentence there. I'm giving you a topic sentence that says, all right, this paragraph is going to be about New Zealand's climate. It usually doesn't get extremely hot or extremely cold. So I kind of gave a definition of temperate for those who might not know what that means. The seasons are reversed there from America. January and February are the warmest months of the year. In the city of Auckland on the North Island, the high temperature in January, February is 74. The low is 60. July is the coldest month in New Zealand. In Auckland, July's high temperature would be 58 and the low would be 45. Okay, so when I did this paragraph, once again, I kind of tried to fill it in. I also rearranged some of my facts. For example, January and February are the warmest months, July is the coldest. On my note card, that was just one fact, but I split it up here because since I actually gave an example of what the temperatures are in January and February, the warmest months, I wanted to go ahead and put that together. Then I wanted to say, all right, in July, give me an example of how cold does it get in July in Auckland? And it really does not get that cold. If you remember that, we're usually hoping for snow with 32 degrees or below. The average low for them is 45 degrees. So in most of New Zealand, it's actually not cold enough to snow, in the cities. Snows on the mountains, but not in a lot of the cities. Okay, so notice what I did down here. So I said January and February are the warmest months of the year. Then I skipped down to use this fact. In the city of Auckland, this doesn't mean all of New Zealand has these temperatures. I just picked one city to look at. In the city of Auckland on the North Island, the high temperature in January, February is 74. That's what this says. That's what that means. In January and February, the average hottest temperature it gets is 74. The low is the average lowest temperature, the coldest that it might get, would be 60 degrees. Okay, so you can always go back and rewatch this video or just pause it and look at my screen. You might not need to hear me explaining it again, but if you want to see an example, just pause this video and you can look at the example as you write your own geography and climate paragraphs today. Don't forget topic sentences. Don't forget skip lines because we are still going to do revising and proofreading. So make sure to skip lines on this first draft. And remember, don't worry so much about spelling or punctuation. Just write. We can always go back and fix punctuation and spelling later. And we will. All right. So I cannot wait to read what you write to me about your country. Happy writing.